Questions? So I hope you're all thinking of questions. Not at the front, what's the line?
So, yeah. Thank you for a very interesting session so far. I just have one question for Bertrand. Did any of your results surprise you? Because, yeah, I really thinking that we will find something that we do. Or what do you think?
Very well, what the type of news? Well, I think, yeah, it's probably the most exciting with the difference in glucose the virus compared to the meat based. Yeah, it's hard. The effect of the 30% of the yeah, it's for the interesting hormones, we either a good study or not design to read the interesting response to the diet. So, yeah.
Pretty disappointing. We showed that.
Thanks, Juan. Yeah.
I believe in violence.
Wonderful. My 4 kids come behind the short we talking about. What we learn is we learn we learn that fiber is whole grain is not for us, not we are confusing you and discussion on this, but what we learn is from the cluster is fast. So thank you for clarifying this, and I knew that because want to do and I read this, but I like your underscore thing. So I think what you say, eat pasta, live long, live good life. If you live in Bella, in nice Italy, obviously eating Canadian durum flour. And I guess I now understand why that come to Italy to control on behalf of Canada government. But then you show one of your supervisors, your passes the guy, what you show, pasta versus whole grain and very whole, we told this client, they are the same bread is bread, irrespective. No, it's another question. So anyway, we did not tell us which kind of pasta they usually use. We knew about durum at the time, and then finally, finally question: are you aware of the study comparing pasta with durum and pasta with white flour? Because you're telling them the secret or with magnetic thing. Did you see post-prandial glycemia?
Thank you. Very, very provocative question. So,
but it's not necessarily a refined carbohydrate because it's not made of refined flour. But I think it's made of semolina flour, which is not refined flour because it still has this intact cell walls, which is the fiber material, but intact, not all, but there is a good portion that is intact teaching. So that is good pasta, but it's not necessarily an unhealthy carbohydrate.
And it's not necessarily, probably it should not be put in the unhealthy plant-based index. UPDM. So yeah, the Finnish index is good from Italian side to South because it's and it's made from the if you look at the this is made from power non-wind and it does have a higher index. And we do show it in one of the tables with the review of studies. So basically, this is the answer to your question.
The whole, I don't think I need to write that for everybody hates that. So, thank you very much for this discussion. It was really great. I am a little bit confused about fruit juice now, though. I'm joining the confusion panel, but no small part because of the metal with the cane, co-authors in the room saying fruit juice should be avoided for weight because of I think a 0.03 BMI difference in children and no effect in adults. I felt like that message was a little different from what was on the slides, and I was hoping that you could clarify kind of that discrepancy.
Sure, thanks, Andrew. When it comes to fruit juice, like a lot of other things in nutrition, there's a U-shaped curve, so you have to look at the dose. So where we do see benefit is at less than 10% of energy, and that's not up. So at that level, you're not seeing the harm. So it's when it's being consumed at high doses that we see it. So that's I think where you're going to be able to interpret different studies that may look like there's a slightly different conclusion, but it might just be that the dose is that make sense?
Yes. I'll pick your brain on.
Yeah, you can chat.
Thank you. The idea of carbohydrate quality index is quite intriguing, and I wonder whether there is any and I guess that's the Joanne is, whether the idea the concordance between the index and in vivo like food response, for example.
What can do that?
It's around carbohydrate quality, right? And the carbohydrate quality index based on fat and fiber and sugar. And so the question is there any, do you have any idea as to whether this correlates with granulate glucose?
Yeah, you know, that's a really important question because as these have changed over time, but like if you go with the 10-to-1, sugar to fiber, I don't think that anybody's done what you did that I'm aware of. I mean, it's like an important question, but it's agreeing that this is, we're gonna accept this carbohydrate quality measure, and because it keeps changing. And for the same thing with the healthy eating index, it's supposed to be linked to dietary guidance. So every time they change something, dietary guidance, we move it around. So, but I think it's that I'm not aware that anybody's actually tested the most simple carbohydrate quality, which would be fiber and added sugar to with an outcome that I'm
So just a quick question, Sebastian, did you measure total or able-bodied brown?
Yeah, we can measure total. Yeah.
You can see a difference between measuring the able-bodied because it can vary. A lot of people will say that the ratio stays the same, but it doesn't necessarily. Especially over the time course, so you might see something there that would be causing their hunger response.
Excellent.
And then for the panel, because you've been discussing the complexities and some things, thinking about fibers and prebiotic, and really it's about their function. But then we have, when you think about plants, when you think about yeast, I'll use beta-glucan for an example, the strain of the yeast will produce different structures which correlate or actually cause different immune function, or may not cause the same immune function. How will we move forward when we know that different fibers, and it could be by different, or especially when you get into the fungi and the yeast produced blends, it could be down to their strain as to what kind of fibers, what kind of structure, and that will dictate their functionality. How will we move forward? Because this is kind of a big chemistry training, but I know within that as well, that you can see that this complexity is there, and really it disappoints me that fiber in the label is just labeled fiber, because what you want to get from it depends on where it comes from.
But then there are new development in this field of the fiber. I've tried to underline that fibers are very different one from the other. And so far we've been interested only to the property of increasing viscosity in the stomach and duodenum. But in reality, an important aspect of fiber is very fermentability. They are not all the same. We did a study with the Pinnacle study here in the room. We have compared, for instance, arabinoxylan with cellulose, and arabinoxylan is much better fermented. It's producing more propionate than cellulose. So if you in a food have equal amount of cellulose or arabinoxylan, you should not expect to have the same fermentation or same ability. And another issue that there are some people who are good fermented, and there are some people who are very bad fermented. So you give the same type of food, and the reaction will be different from one person to another. But we have a lot to understand in this field. So it is interesting that we start to open our mind to consider fibers as a more complex world and try to learn. I mean, as scientists, that's what we have to do. Learn a little bit more in relation to what we know at present.
And I also get a quick cautionary from the industry standpoint is the effectiveness of being, and then how do we deliver that? The challenge fibers, especially the volume of consumption, particularly beverages, sensitive because of the pH one to actually deliver use of fiber in those places. So how do we get the most effective fiber then is about understanding unfortunately, right? We make a lot of it, and then will it survive the processing shit consumers will consume?
It's because of the research together and you don't be questions, but we do have to confidence. And thank you very much for